Hey everyone, it's Dustin with TechMD. We got one more repair to do. I gotta go to this customer's home and fix an XX Max back glass and frame replacement. Now we always replace the frame with these because that's how the OEM parts come. If you use fake or refurbished, they're gonna be easier to crack. And so the OEM parts that we're offering, in the link in the description, you're going to actually email us and we'll provide you information on how to get these original parts. And then you can also swap them with your broken stuff. So more on that in the video, but this video is mainly for you to do it at your home yourself, something much easier than doing it elsewhere. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching and on to the video. It's Dustin with TechMD. A little quick commercial break. We got a product called Liquid Glass that can cover your phone against $400 in damages or even $150 in damages. And it's super cheap and it's good for a whole year with no deductible. I'm going to have a link in the description below describing the whole product and how the whole process works in a separate video. Thanks for watching. Now back to the video. Okay, we are going to be fixing this phone today, an XS Max. He broke it and he's trading in to the iPhone 11 Pro Max, right? Or yeah, that's a stupid name. Anyways, this component here we'll be able to purchase on the email below. You'll have to email us to get where to purchase this part, and we'll be able to send this out, and if you mail this back, we will give you a credit towards this, so basically a refund off of this. I will explain all that as we go here, but you don't want any dings or dents or anything like that on your frame, and no cracks in order to get the credit for it. Prices will vary based on, you know, when you watch this video, so it could be a couple years when you watch this video later on down the road. Could be cheaper by then. So the idea of this video is not to teach you to replace just the back glass, but to the frame as well, instead of just the glass. You have to have specialized equipment, and it's something that you just can't really do at home without spending a ton of money. This is much cheaper to have a tool set with you, which you can buy all those tools in the link in the description below. And then you can do this at home if you have the knowledge and the video here and the tools. You can totally do it yourself. So what we're going to do is take a heat gun here on high, and we're going to warm the sides up, the adhesive, and we're just going to get that hot to the touch around the sides. But of course you don't want to burn your screen, so don't get it too hot, because if you burn your screen, then you'd have to replace that, and these are really expensive. So you're just going to start right in the corner here and lift up very carefully, and then twist right here. Go right along and twist. And that noise that you'll hear is the actual adhesive getting separated. Okay? Do it again up here and twist. But not too much or you'll crack your screen. Make sure you remove those bottom screws or you'll crack your screen. Just going to slide our tool down here carefully. Not too far in there deep or you're going to crack your screen. Okay, now that we have that removed, we're going to go ahead and lift the screen out. It's going to give you a little bit of resistance because of the extra adhesive. All right, so now we need to take our Y000 screwdriver. I also use QIANLI screwdrivers, Quinlan, which you can find those in the link in the description. Let's go ahead and organize all these screws off along the bottom of the unit, of the pad here. You don't have to have this pad, but it is quite handy to keep these screws in order. You know, white piece of paper would be helpful, but it's very important that they all go back in the exact same hole they go into, because if you put the wrong screw in the wrong hole, it could possibly damage the motherboard. So just going to remove that with the fingernail. It comes right up. And set those along the sides. Now we're going to go ahead and disconnect everything. And I recommend a plastic spudger or your fingernail. Spudgers are really cheap, so it shouldn't be very difficult to do that. And you probably should start with the battery first, which is right here. But I kind of like to get the LCD out of the way as fast as I can. Now this is glued on right here, so just be careful just to push the glue out of the way, and this cable will come right up. You can also warm it up on the other side a little bit to help pull up the cable. Just don't want to rip or tear this, or this will ruin your Face ID. Very carefully. These are paper thin cables. Okay, so we got the screen removed. Now we can proceed to disconnect all these cables. Okay, let's disconnect the camera here. Try not to slide or bump your tool that hard. You could damage something if you're not careful enough. Okay, now that we have all the cables disconnected, we are going to go ahead and pop out the SIM card. Get your SIM card tool to pop it out. I have this, so it's fine. It works just the same. So now you're going to carefully remove these screws. Put that piece over there. Okay, we got another screw right here. This is Phillips, all Phillips. I also like using the 2UUL screwdriver, which is a very nice Phillips screwdriver. Sometimes the screws don't like to come out. Usually I prefer to sit down and do this, but at this moment I don't have a chair and a desk, so I have to stand for this. So I'd recommend sitting and doing this kind of repair, just because it's so tedious. So we're going to go ahead and remove this bracket. And now we can remove the camera. Just take your iseasmo tool, the one that you open the phone up with, and get your tool in between there. And carefully set those cameras aside. Don't touch the lenses whatsoever. Now everything that we got is pretty much removed. Actually, we'd take one more screw out here. This is your standoff screw. You have to have a standoff screwdriver to remove it. You can use other things, but like a flathead, jerry rig, everything uses a flathead for whatever reason. But I recommend a standoff screwdriver. is much easier. Okay, now that we have that piece, these two clips can come up once we get the battery out. So the battery is very difficult to remove, and you got to be careful. I like to warm it up. Well, on the front side, usually you don't have to on this side, but you can. And it'll help loosen up the glue. But you'll see my technique for the rest of it here in a second. So I just twist that and then pull out it nice and slowly. Okay, now that we have that removed, there's no potentials of really damaging the rest of it. So if you look underneath the battery here, there's this cable. Let's show you on the camera if we can. There's this cable right here that you want to get your tool under or over on the top of it. If you have to remove it with heat, just don't go in too deep. Don't go past here because you don't want to clip that cable. But now we got to get our tool underneath the battery here so we can remove these pull tabs. The other way to remove the pull tabs is remove all this stuff out and then you can pull out the pull tabs, but they tend to fail anyways. So with a little bit of heat, you can get the battery out fairly easy once you get underneath it. So we want to get this warm to the touch. Is that a sparkling water?
I got regular bottle here.
Yeah, I'll probably take a regular. I'm not a big fan of sparkling. Okay, so we got that warm to the touch. Remember, we're going to get underneath the battery here. Take the blunt side of the spludger. And it's the metal one. We're going to go straight in and rotate it around. It should come right off very carefully. Don't want to bend the battery at all. But that's my technique for removing this battery very easily. Okay, you don't want this to separate either. You want to keep this together. So we're going to set that battery aside. Okay, now that the unit's a little bit warmer, believe it or not, these come off pretty easy. Take your plastic spudger, once you lift that up a little bit, just slowly move this up. Okay, if these cables rip, Face ID is gone, so be careful. Okay, now this whole entire front camera, front Face ID is ready to just slide right out. All right, now you got two final cables right here that are a real pain to get off. So just use the edge of the frame to unclip them. So I just do this against the frame. This one's especially difficult right here. Sometimes I use tweezers, other times I try to move the motherboard around a little bit and try to get a little help. I actually forgot to disconnect this here. Let's disconnect it now. There's your charge port. Okay, let's see if we can get this motherboard out of here. Likes to get stuck in there. There we go. So now we can rotate this around and disconnect it like that. That makes life a little bit easier doing that. Okay, so then you send this part back and we can give you a credit off of this part that you purchased online. got to make sure you purchase it from us, and it has to have all these components back in there. Sometimes it comes with a little extra components or a battery or whatever. Call that extra parts that you may or may not need in the future. Like this front camera bracket, I will not need, so I'm just going to toss it. But I will keep the extra screws. That's always handy. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is go ahead and put the motherboard back in and clip these two little nasty cables back on it. Those are going to be probably your most challenging thing to do on this phone here. Actually, I had to do this a few times with a couple iPhone XS's and XS Max's before I decided to film this, because I wanted to make sure that I got everything right for you guys. There are several steps in here that you don't want to forget. And some of them are pretty darn tedious. So we're going to take our screwdriver here, or our tweezers, and put this back in. Just like that. We're going to make sure the motherboard's still sitting flush. And take our screw. Now, sometimes you have to remagnetize the screwdriver. Just get one of these. They're like $1 or $2. Pretty cheap. To remagnetize it. Makes your life very easy. Now, careful not to slip your screwdriver. Try to keep your hands as steady as possible, because one slip could cause the death of your phone. And you'd have to send your phone in to get it professionally repaired. So be careful with your screwdriver here as much as possible. You don't want to be damaging it by accident. Or damaging your motherboard by accident, I should say, not the screwdriver. So just getting a couple cables clipped in here while we're at it. This can be a little bit tricky if you're not knowing what you're doing, but just be very careful about clipping these cables back in. So I'm actually looking at this from an angle and then clipping it in to make sure it's lined up. Sometimes you have to do that. Now we're going to get our SIM card back in there, because might as well while we're thinking about it. And we're going to, that's an extra SIM card tray. We're going to get these two connectors connected. So once again, I'm very low right now, just looking at it, and listen for the clip. Okay, we heard a clip, that means it's in. All right, now this piece here is, I can't remember if it's before or after front camera. You might want to put, yeah, let's put the camera in first and see if I'm wrong or right. These are kind of a pain to get in. It has to actually slide under this piece here. It doesn't really like to get close to that. Oh, looks like it's in now. Yeah, we want the camera, front camera in first before doing this other component. Okay, now we got it all clipped down. So this piece here has a little tiny hook on it. Let's see if we can get it zoomed in here. It's a little hook right there, okay? And that hook, I mean, it's stupid, but you have to hook it right there. So what we're gonna do is angle it like this until we get it in that hole under there. Okay, make sure it's sitting down in there, and you know it's in there now. Okay, so this screw doesn't like to be magnetized very well because it's a pain. This is a standoff screw. It's very typical. So we're just going to take our tweezers and carefully put this in. Well, maybe it does want to be magnetized. There, yeah, that's nice. All right, and screw it in. Okay, now we can get the rear camera in. And now the bracket. See, now that the bracket's in, right now we can put that rear camera in. So you have to wait until that bracket's in. So with this cable here, I had to push in this way, then push down to clip. And it's a little bit the same way on the top. All right. Make sure that's sitting down in there. Okay, it is. Now we are going to get our bracket here. And since that screw's already in, we don't need that top one, but we do need this one and that one back in. So, tricky thing about the XS is this clip here, how it goes in. See, and this one has the same thing. Yep. Let me show you these clips. So, you see them right here on the edges? That has to go in just a certain way in there. And it's hard to describe, but just watch carefully. If it's not sitting in there right, then the screen won't clip in properly. See? See how that clipped in underneath there? That's really critical to make proper contact. If you don't, it's not going to work. More trickier than the iPhone X. And I can't do this while I'm standing up, so we're going to have to zoom in here to see what I'm doing. Put the screw in. And put this screw in here. Careful not to slip right here. Just really careful. If you do, make sure you slip on the actual unit itself. Okay, if those are off alignment at all, then you just didn't get these clips in right. All right, so now for the battery. I just use some 3M tape. Any kind of good tape will work. I use 3M because it's easy to remove, just in case I ruin the battery. The battery's not good anymore after the repair. That does happen from time to time. That these are very easy to remove. Doing too strong of adhesive is going to make your life miserable. You can buy pull tabs if you want, but these are just super easy to remove with no heat or little heat. And they work just fine. All right. Now getting the battery in can be kind of a little tricky, so we're going to bend that over and back into the position that it belongs in. Okay, and we're going to go down here and clip the battery in, right? So now we know the correct positioning, and slowly let it down, and it'll go in the perfect position if you do it that way. And we'll just disconnect the battery real quick. Okay, now for the screen and the remainder of the screws. Okay, got one cable there. You just got to feel it and then hear it clip. And then your power button. And at this point you can test the phone, make sure it works, that kind of good stuff. Just careful not to short it. When doing these kind of repairs, you want to check the flash. You want to check your rear camera, your front camera, your Face ID, all once you have it clipped in with Face ID especially. And just, you know, check everything. Like I said, if you're struggling with the battery, just replace it. It's giving you issues. Now this cable, you don't want it overlapping on top of here where your screws are going, or you're just going to ruin your Face ID camera. Don't mind my Yoshi notification tone. Someone really wants to get a hold of me. Okay, it's all screwed in. And you can clip it in, and then you'll check everything. He's trading it in, so we don't have to check anything, which is always nice. And the final screws is Pentalope. Guys, if you've liked this video, please like and subscribe. I would really be helpful if you find a mistake in my video where we can correct it. I always want a professional, detailed video for anyone who's willing to fix their own phones. Remember, all the links are in the description, and to purchase this part, I'm going to have an email in the description telling you where and how to purchase this particular part, since it is an Apple original part. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Have a good one.